What's going on, guys? I'm back with a brand new series review for you guys, and I just watched a show called The Last of Us, starring Pedro Pascal. Oh, I feel like I'm messing his name up. Bella Ramsey and Merle Dandridge. First of all, this is something that I felt I would have done a long time ago. I thought I did a long time ago, but obviously I didn't. We have to see what's going on with the Game of Thrones cast. What are they doing now? All right, we already know Pedro Pascal has had shows like Mandalorian, and he's done other shows like Narcos. Okay, and now he's doing this. And then there's Bella Ramsey, who hasn't really done anything since Game of Thrones, and now she's, debuting herself in another area, besides that. Okay, so congrats to her. Congrats to her for getting her feet wet. But let's talk about the rest of the cast. And of course, I can't go through each and every one of them. There's so many. We're gonna hit 7 at least today. The continuation's coming. Don't worry. GOT member number 1. Macy Williams. I had to do Arya first. She had to come in line first, man. All right. She had shows like 2 Weeks to Live, Pistol. I think it's still going on. Yeah, she was in the New Mutants, of course. And as of recent, she had an interview where she spoke about things that her father was doing to her. Right? She had this whole child cult thing that he was running, or some sort. That was highly emotional. That was very emotional. I advise you to watch that interview. Very powerful interview, man. I'm not joking, man. I'm not joking. I feel for her. Good luck on your endeavors here on. GOT member number 2, Kit Harington. I was going here next, man. He just had a movie called Baby Ruby. All right. Not only that, he was in 7 Days of Hell a long time ago, which caught my eye on a comedy tip. All right. And now he supposedly has a show called Snow coming out on HBO. Don't know exactly when that's going to actually come out. There's previews, supposedly. Those are real previews. All right, we'll just call it that. But besides that, he's also going to be in the new Blade coming out next year, the PG-13 Disney Blade. So we'll see how that goes too. Congrats for you, bro. GOT member number 3, Sophie Turner. All right, now while not one of my favorite characters in the show, she made a move. She made a couple moves on that show and made her name clear. All right, so we're gonna give her some props too. She had things going like Josie. If anybody remembers that movie, probably don't. I don't blame you. But she had Josie. She also had the X-Men Apocalypse and the Dark Phoenix movie going on there. All right, so she was heavily known as the character for Jean Grey, the younger version. Right now, I'll explain this. She's starring in this weird teen movie called Do Revenge. All right, and it's a little silly on her part, but the rest of the movie actually is getting some good reviews. Surprisingly, it doesn't look like much to me. But hey, what do I know? I watched the review on it also, and I still didn't see a lot going on with it. But hey, you never know until you watch it. Hey, GOT member number 4, Peter Dinklage. Why wasn't he number 1? I don't know. Just didn't think of him that quickly. All right. This guy had a lot going on. He was in X-Men Days of Future Past. All right. He was in The Boss. Okay. He was in the Billboard movie. I'm not going to say the whole title. It's too much. Okay. So he's done his things here and there. Nothing to laugh and nothing to squawk at. As of recent, not really recent, but this is the last thing he did was Serrano, which I had no interest in watching. I'm sorry. I understand it's an old play, and it was very an artistic play, artful, whatever type of play, and I just don't care much for that. Not plays or anything like that, but just that play in particular turned into a movie. Don't care. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, bro. But keep doing what you do, okay? Game of Thrones member number 5, Gwendolyn Christie. Now, this is the most interesting one because before she's doing what she's doing now, the main thing she was known for, besides Game of Thrones, was the Star Wars character she played, okay? And she didn't even take her mask off for that. So if you don't know who that was, you have to look at the credits. But now she's in this popular show. Don't know if you heard about it. Wednesday, all right? Yes, so she plays a character in Wednesday. It fits her. She is of Tim Burton material, just like the other girl in that show. And so I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I will get my chance one of these days. Don't worry. I just don't like how it's being hyped up so strongly. I don't like that. And, this show was done the same way, but I got a chance to kind of get into it before the hype was too much. All right? Congrats anyways. GOT member number 6, Jack Gleason. Yeah, we all know this guy was the one that everybody hated. Apparently, there was threats against him. That was a rumor. He never was threatened. He was never threatened, all right? He actually had good results and feedback from the crowd, all right? Physically. All right. Now, before all that, before Game of Thrones, this guy was in a Batman movie as a young kid. Then he got in Game of Thrones. Then he quit the acting business, got his own theater. All right, this man blew up real quick. He made major moves. He had some movie called One Out of Her Mind. Okay, never seen it. Haven't seen it yet. Maybe I should check it out. I don't know, but that was way after we thought he had quit the acting game for good. All right, and so it seems like he might be slowly getting back into the limelight, but not in the way that we think. All right, and I understand, man. I understand. You want to kind of lay low until it does get bad. All right, you don't want it to get bad. Okay, understandable. GOT member number 7, Emilia Clarke. All right, now. This is the Lady of the Dragons right here. Since Game of Thrones, she's had movies like, Terminator Genesis, which was not the greatest movie in the world, but we've already spoken about that a long time ago. Then she was in Solo, which I actually enjoyed. It. There's a lot of arguments about that between me and other friends, but I actually enjoyed that movie. Now, her role wasn't that great, but the movie was decent. And now she's gonna be in Secret Invasion for Marvel. Not sure what character she's gonna play. Probably a Skrull, all right? But that's good. Now she's a part of the Marvel family as well. Welcome. We welcome you, all right? And now we have Last of Us, which is what Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey are in now. Will this project just be as remarkable as the other projects our former cast members have been in? We're about to find out. Let's go. The Last of Us, for those who don't know, where? Come on. No. If you haven't even heard of this show, you're somehow in an apocalyptic world right now that we're no longer a part of. That we have no idea is going on with you. All right, no one else is around. No one. There's some kind of creatures or zombies out there hunting you down. All right, so you have no time to watch this show. I'm assuming. Come on, man. Don't play me. Don't play me. Penalized immediately. The Last of Us. It's pretty much about, it's an apocalyptic world, like we just talked about. All right, where you have this father or former father who lost a daughter in early 2003. All right, based on a cordyceps virus or some kind of a pandemic from plants, pretty much. Yes, plants. And so these plants, they give off signals and they grow on humans, and then they cause them to turn and change, and then they infect other people. And this is what apparently happened to his daughter in the beginning. And his brother and him, they had to fight for their lives. And then we fast forward years later. This man is still on the run. His brother is no longer, in his presence, or they're no longer in contact. He's trying to get a hold of his brother. And in the whole process of this, him and his new girl, his new woman, they are given this mission to bring this little girl named Ellie, who apparently is immune to zombies, to a hospital so they can take her blood and see just how her blood works like this. All right. And now they are set on this mission, and they must do everything within their will to protect this little girl and make sure nothing happens to the product. It's just how they look at it, as products. All right. And that's the premise of the show. All right. Positives. This had to be one of the most creative zombie premises. All right. I always say, I've been saying for a long time that I've kind of went on a zombie fatigue as of lately. Whereas if the zombie show or movie is not original within its own, I can't watch it. But then seeing the plot for this and how it's all based off of cordyceps in the plant, and how this could, if these kind of plants were big enough, it could actually happen, because it does affect some kind of mosquito, like small animals and insects. It does affect them sometimes. All right, so if it gets a hold of an insect, and I could be messing this up, so go look it up too. But if it gets a hold of an insect, they are kind of like zombies. All right, so it's real, but just not on a higher scale of infecting humans. All right, so which is kind of scary for me. It's actually really scary to think about. All right, another positive. The way the scenery of the show, this had the one of the best post-apocalyptic vibes to it. There's just every episode was a beautiful landscape, whether it was in the snow or the forest or just abandoned, broken down buildings all around. No matter what, it all looked like it was out of that video game. By the way, the video game, I never played it. So that's another thing that we should ask a question on. Is this something that you can go into without playing the game? That's a good question. Is this something you can play? You don't have to play the game to watch this. Keep that in mind, because I'm seeing the kind of scenery that it showed in this show, I could already tell that each level looked exactly like this. All right, each level you go into, they had everything down from the detail. All right, if I jump on the game, this is how it exactly looks, but they made it look more realistic. All right, for people who are watching, who have no idea what the game's about, they just want to watch this. This is what they got. All right, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. There's a part with a giraffe in this. Okay, out of nowhere, there's monkeys running around. It's so realistic of things that would still be around that you just have to run into accidentally because everything's haywire. All right, another positive. The action and gore was so on point. It was a perfect mix of action and gore. Let me put it like that. All right. Of course, this is based off a video game, so the main character Joel, he has to show that he can get down with those guns. All right, he's blowing people away, shooting left and right, killing everybody. He kind of has a slow start. And this is everybody else's complaint about this, as how rough he is of a character in the game. All right, and there was complaints about this, and then me not knowing how the game is, I had no issue, of course, with how he started out, because I'm already expecting his character to kind of have a slow progress to get to that mean-spirited character that he is in the game. I knew it was good. I was like, oh, well, you know what? If they're gonna make this the way that they should, then that Joel won't come out until later on. Okay, and he definitely expressed that the way it should have been expressed. All right, he definitely came out of that shell. All right, it took a certain things to happen, and he was out. He was on it. All right, and kudos to Bella Ramsey's character too. All right, such a little girl. Well, actually, she's older in real life, but she has the stature of a younger person. And just to see her, defending herself the way she did in the show was crazy. All right, she had to fight. These kids didn't have childhoods. All right, unfortunately, and it shows in her character. And the zombies were so creative. The zombies were something like I've never seen before. All right, different. You had clickers and all and ones that were like big trees, like Groot on steroids. All right, it was crazy. It was crazy. I enjoyed all of that. Last positive, the strongly written characters. Okay, in almost each episode, there was a new character that was introduced besides Ellie and Joel. People like Henry and his little brother that was deaf, and the girl from the 2 Men and a Half that was the villain in that little episode right there. They were very interesting, and these actors and actresses did a great job, a stupendous job. All right, remarkable, no flaws in their acting at all. Yes, that's what I want to see in a show. All right. You also had other characters within the show, like the preacher teacher man, towards the end of this series, or this season, I'm sorry. And it was so interesting to see him develop, because at first you were kind of like, okay, he doesn't seem too bad. And then as the episode went on, he got creepier and creepier and creepier. You have to see for yourself. You haven't seen this yet. All right. So his acting was superb as well, and as well as other actors and actresses in the show. All right. You had the cast did a knockout job. No lie. Okay. Negatives. There was an unnecessary episode plot. All right. And I know this has been talked about so many times. Episode 3. And my reason, it's not what you think. Okay. Whatever's the lifestyle going on in there, whatever's going on within that episode, that's not what I'm talking about. That's whatever. My whole thing is, what does it have to do with the show? Now, I know these characters are in the game as well. There's a whole debate about that, but I don't play the game, so I can't get too deep into that. But I watched that whole episode. All right. There are parts that I didn't care for. I'm gonna be honest about that. That's what the fast forward button is for. But besides those parts, you get to the back to the dialogue and what's going on. Nothing of interest. There was nothing of interest to what the rest of the plot for this show was about. It didn't, only to the end where it gets back to your main characters and how things were left for them to figure out and find. That's when it held some kind of substance to the show. It just, so I understand the complaints on a slight level, but not to the point where, there's anger, because I have never played the game once again. Okay. But I understand. I understand a little bit. All right. Another negative. Ellie took some getting used to. all throughout the episode, she loved to talk and run her mouth, and she had questions about everything. And it irritated Joel. And I felt for Joel. Like, man, she does nothing but ask questions. She never shuts up. So it took a while just to get used to her character, which was a little rough. All right, not too bad, but just a little on the hard side. All right, just an inch away from just throwing her out, into the pathway of a zombie. Please get her. Whatever you can do with it. I know you can't hurt her, but do something. All right. Yeah, honestly. Last negative. There's nudity in this. All right, now that's just with any HBO show. I was like, oh, okay, there's nudity in this. So Joel's gonna, it's been a long time, so Joel's gonna, so find some woman and no, that's not the kind of nudity they're talking about. Let's just say dead bodies. Yeah, we don't want to see that when we talk about nudity. Okay, we don't want to. That's not what we're thinking about. All right, but with all that said, I'm giving this a hell yes. This is a show you should watch. HBO, you've done it again. And do you need to play the video game to watch the show? No, you don't. You don't. All right, it's unnecessary. Press that like button, share, and you better subscribe.